Chapter 18. The Yuppies. They started walking through the trees. Everything was very still and silent after the storm and the meteor shower. Some of the trees had fallen over, and the ground was covered in the meteors that had fallen from the sky. Kenny's nose kept on their trail. He could also follow their tracks in the snow, but all of the debris was making it more difficult. As they plodded along, Sarah saw something out of the corner of her eye. It looked like something moving behind the trees. She sat up and stared out into the trees. There it was again, a flash of white. "Kenny!" she called out. "There's something—" "What?" Kenny asked, stopping and turning his head. "There's something out there," Sarah replied, pointing. Kenny looked around. "I don't see—" "Wait!" He spotted movement as well. There was a loud, splitting sound, and one of the trees started falling. Then they saw a tall, ferocious-looking, white-haired monster running through the trees towards them. It was roaring and waving its arms in the air. Kenny hesitated for a moment before Sarah patted him on his head and shouted, "Run!" They started racing through the trees, jumping around large meteors and fallen branches. The creature was running behind them. Sarah looked back and could see 4 more of the same creatures running behind. They splashed through a small stream that was still running and then out into an open expanse. The 5 creatures were getting closer and closer. Kenny was getting tired. This bear's body wasn't built for running long distances. Sarah thought she heard someone calling out. "Wait!" came the voice again. She turned around, still holding on to Kenny, who was starting to slow and breathing heavily. "Wait!" it came out again. "Kenny, stop!" Sarah shouted out. Kenny slowed and turned around, taking a huge sigh. "What?" he asked in between big breaths. The 5 creatures had slowed down as well, and now stood in front of them. They had fierce teeth and claws. They must have stood about 8 foot tall. "Oh, thank goodness," the largest one of them said in a soft voice. "Sorry about that." "Sorry about what?" Sarah asked, not sure whether they were good or not. "Yuri is rather clumsy," the creature said, pointing to a slightly shorter and goofy-looking one who smiled and waved. "We had been out gathering supplies when the storm came. After taking shelter, we were gathering our things. Then Yuri knocked into a tree, which fell down and scared him. Yuri then started running, and then you started running, and we kept running." "Oh," Sarah sighed. "So I didn't have to do all of that running?" Kenny asked with a huff. "We are ever so sorry," said the second largest one, with slightly longer hair and a voice that reminded them of Mummy. "We know we don't look like the friendliest of creatures." "That's okay," Sarah replied. "So what are you?" "We are Yuppies," replied the tallest one. "I am Uni. This is Yuti. And you've met Yuri. Then these 2 are Yuto and Yuta." Each one of them waved and smiled as their name was called out. "We are a small family of many families," Yuri continued. "Mostly we hide and keep to ourselves." "Why's that?" Kenny asked. "Everyone is scared of how we look," Yuti answered. "But we're really friendly," added Yuto. "And we really like to play," added Yuta. Yuri smiled at them and waved his fingers. "Yuppie!" he called out in a funny voice and danced over to them, waving his hands and wobbling his head around. He gave them both a big hug. The rest of the family joined in with yelps of "Yuppie!" and they started dancing around in a circle. Kenny and Sarah smiled and laughed at the sight, briefly forgetting what had just happened before. When the dancing and singing had stopped, Kenny spoke up. We need to find our friend Lily. The wolves and the little creatures with masks took her.
Oh yes, replied Uni. The pollution and their wolves.
We saw them with the eagle, added Uti. Do you know where they would go? Sarah asked.
Only one place they would go,
Uni responded.
The Ice Palace.
Oh no, said Yuta and Yuto together, cowering behind Uti. What's at the Ice Palace? Kenny asked.
It's a very bad place, Uni replied. Anyone who is taken there never comes out.
So we have to go and save Lily, Sarah said with determination. Which way is it? You cannot go alone, Uti pleaded. Then come with us, Sarah suggested.
No, it is something we are forbidden to do, Uni said. It is too dangerous.
Uti looked at him. She was about to say something, but she knew it was not something that they were allowed to do. How can we get there? Kenny asked. Why do you still want to go, knowing that there is danger? Uti asked, as a concerned mother. Lily is our friend, Sarah replied. That's what friends do for each other. Uti looked towards Uni, but he would not change his mind. It was not his decision to make. There were rules to be followed, and if rules were not followed, then people got hurt. It would be up for the Grand Council to decide.
There is a secret entrance to the palace, through the caves,
Uti explained. He whistled and two birds with long tails flew towards them. One was red and the other was blue.
The birds will show you the way.
Thank you, said Sarah and Kenny.
Now, we must get back, said Uni. We've been out in the open for too long.
Yuri raised his hands up again and called out,
Yippee!
Sarah and Kenny smiled and waved. They started to follow the birds, who would fly ahead and then double back before flying ahead again. The Yuppie family of 5 turned and walked back to the edge of the trees. They all turned around and gave one final wave before disappearing. That was different, Kenny said to Sarah as he continued walking along the frozen landscape, following the two birds. Yes, I liked Yuri. He was funny. She giggled at how funny he had looked as he was singing and dancing. Then her thoughts went back to Simon. I hope Simon is all right, she said, with sadness in her voice. I do too, said Kenny.